it's been insane. It's been insane. I think for both of us since the last time we did a weekly pet roundup, but I'm so excited to be back this week and we'll see what happens the rest of the summer, but
Yeah, for sure. Well, the rest of the summer, I can tell you this. It depends on when you count summer.
true. True.
Because my kids go back to school next week. But
Oh,
then we have Super Zoo.
yeah, I was going to say I'm going to be out of town the whole next 2 weeks. Um, Going to AFCO and then going to Super Zoo. So it is going to be, I don't know. Anyway, this week, however, on the weekly pet roundup, we are talking about, we're recapping the More You Know Pet Wellness Summit 2025, which was held in Williamsburg back on July 13th-ish. And super, super fun. Isabel came into town for that and we had a blast. There was so much going on, and it was the third annual Pet Wellness Summit that Nautical Dog hosted. If you're new here, my name is Jessica. I'm with the Pet Parenting Reset. This is Isabel. She hosts Covered in Pet Hair, and we get together as often as we can, weekly, hopefully. Usually easier during this school year, to go come to you weekly to host the weekly pet roundup, which we do live here on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you so much for being here with us. So, this was your first, the More You Know Pet Wellness Summit, and how was it for you?
I really enjoyed it. I was really impressed with the caliber. Obviously, the speakers I assumed would be amazing.
Hmm.
I was impressed with the caliber of the pet parents that attended.
Yeah, yeah,
That was for me the highlight because I knew, while I've never seen any of the speakers speak, so we can go over who was there. We can say
yeah.
that it was Amy Renz from Goodness Gracious, Rita from the Herbal Dog. What is her last name? I forget. Why am I blanking on
Hogan,
her? Hogan,
Rita
Rita Hogan,
Hogan, Canine
the Herbal
Herbalist.
Dog, and she just published her first book, so she's kind of on a book tour. That was kind of a stop on her tour. Then there was Susan. Again, I'm blanking on her name.
Thixton.
Thixton. I'm like Gibson. No, it's not Gibson. Susan Thixton, who I have followed for, even though I forgot her last name, I followed for over 2 decades, like I guess for 2 decades now. Since I started my pet sitting business in 2008, like I remember at that point, sometime in that area, in that time frame, finding her, and I'd never met her in person. I've never seen her speak, so that was like a highlight for me.
Yeah.
And then there was Dr. What is it?
Conor, Brady.
Conor Brady. Why am I blanking on everybody's names today? Dr. Conor Brady, who is just delightful, and I really enjoyed meeting him. And I mean, he made us laugh a lot because he talked about poop the whole time. His favorite topic, and like one that we don't shy away from, but when
No.
like he took it to another level that I've never seen. Did I forget anybody? We had
Dr.
four
Katie
speakers.
Kangas.
Oh, Dr. Katie Kangas, whom I loved getting to know.
Yes. She's amazing.
She's so fun. She's so cute. I really enjoyed her. So, um, Amy Renz, I've met at Super Zoo, and I love that she's so knowledgeable. Yes, she has like a pet food brand, but also she is just really knowledgeable and shares so much of her knowledge, not just with those who purchase her bread, but with the industry. So, like, I
Hmm.
love that about her. Her talk was really in depth. Like, I thought that the average pet parent would have like a lot go over their head.
Yeah.
But the caliber of pet parent that was there really got it, because everybody you could see was either raw feeding or looking at transitioning to raw feeding or homemade, dog food. Like, these people are very dedicated to their pets, namely dogs. There was a lot more dog people, I think, than cat people, which tends to be the case with these things,
It
unfortunately for our
does.
cats. Because our cats deserve species appropriate food too, but it's a little harder to feed that way, so people get discouraged, I think, with
Yeah.
cats, since they are obligate carnivores, and people are like ready to like kind of they're more easily wrap their heads around homemade foods or raw feeding dogs than they do cats. in my experience at least. So it was really cool. I loved getting to hear from Susan Thixton. A lot of it I already knew, but her sharing her personal stories of certain threats that she's received in trying to uncover the kind of the dark side of the pet food industry was really eye-opening for me because I
Yeah.
know that that happens in the holistic health world, right? Like I
Yeah.
know that there are naturopathic doctors in the human health realm that get death threats
Mhm.
from big corporations. Obviously, they'd never take ownership of that threat, but like they assume
Yeah.
that that's where it's coming from.
Hmm.
These conglomerates can be very, you know, cutthroat if they feel
Yeah.
like they need to. And so she shared a few things that I was like, I can't believe she keeps doing this. Like I
Yeah.
applaud her for having the conviction that even if she's getting threats on her life and her loved ones' lives, she continues to bring attention to the very dark side of the pet food industry and just of agriculture in general. Because she did talk about like, you know, factory farms, like when it like pigs and like the environmental impact that it has on the neighboring communities that are usually poor, the impact that it has on our water systems. Like she talks about a lot of things that are really eye-opening and that a lot of consumers have no idea about. And that
Yeah.
probably was my favorite chat just because it reiterated how important it is for me. I don't feed raw. I don't cook for my pets. I used to, but I have two kids now. It's so much going on that I don't feel like I could commit to it properly. But as a consumer, I do have the ability, and it just takes like a second longer to like kind of research what I'm buying, where it comes from, make better choices. So that was the one that I kind of said, like, this one is what I could really take and apply directly into my life. Whereas the other ones, you know, sure, like I took a lot of information and a lot of stuff that I learn at these things, I actually apply to my life and my like
Hmm.
kids' diet and stuff. So like I took a lot of that, but it just was, I've always known about factory farming, the dangers, the gross stuff that happens with the meat that we eat or we feed our pets. And it just reminded me to do better because not only do I not want to support those industries, but I also don't want to ingest that stuff or give it to
Yeah.
my loved ones, whether they be animals or, well, that they be pets or kids.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that I appreciate about Susan the most is how professional she stays, even with everything that is happening to her and around her. She is like when she's just with like industry people, with not industry, but when she's with like her people that she knows and that supports her that are, on the side of the pets really in this equation, she can let you know her real thoughts. But like when she is writing her blogs, when she is writing to the FDA, when she is attending AFCO meetings, when she is talking directly to pet food industry, she is so professional and so level-headed, and she doesn't let her what has happened to her and the anger and the sadness and the frustration like derail any of that.
Yeah, she
And
does. She said that she had sent a complaint, which like the FDA has like a way that you go through these complaint processes. And she's still waiting for a response like 3, 5 years later or something. And
mhm,
she doesn't want to get like, you know, attorneys and stuff involved, but like they're not really giving her much. And there
yeah,
are supposedly like guidelines of timing
yeah,
in which the FDA has to respond, but because it's her,
mhm.
they kind of know
They
like
just don't. Yeah,
we're
yeah,
not going down this route, but she's a
right.
bit of a rebel too. Like she's brave because she like shows up to meetings and like inflammatory t-shirts.
I don't think she does that anymore after what happened to her, but like she
Yeah,
used to. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That she showed up in a t-shirt that ruffled some feathers, and like after that, she received a threat, like a threat of physical violence.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's really brave. And that was to me really cool that despite all that, she still continues to share her knowledge and poke the bear, so to speak. I mean, you got to be pretty brave to do that.
I think she is. And but also and I think it's that professionalism that came through in her talk. I did hear quite a few people in attendance say that they had no idea,
Yes, a lot of
specifically
people.
to Susan's talk,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
which honestly surprised me.
Me
And,
too.
like, as far as who was in attendance, like you said, like you felt that they were like just a different caliber of pet parent, and yet that's where I got like I was hearing the most like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Was around Susan's talk, and I'm like, how did you not know that? But that's me. I'm like, isn't this why we're feeding our pets the way we're feeding them in the first
No, I
place?
think that
But
they're,
not
you know, I think
necessarily.
that I think pet parents obviously feed a fresh diet because of illness a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And they, like, that's kind of like, I need to do something better. My pet has kidney disease, my pet has cancer, my pet has this or that or the
Hmm.
other. And I want to extend their life, so I'm going to feed them this better food. But in feeding them the better food, they're kind of leaving that disgusting factory farming agricultural nightmare
Hmm.
behind, which is obviously like a positive side effect of this
Yeah.
big change. But yeah, I think that people like it's, I think a lot of people go vegan or vegetarian when they start discovering these things, so it like affects them, as in like I have a friend who's vegan, and the reason she went vegan is not because of the animals, it's because of the mental health of the slaughterhouse workers. And she just kind of went down this rabbit hole and was like, I don't want to be like
Didn't we have,
supporting.
was it you and I that had this conversation before?
I don't
Or was
know.
it
I don't
me and
think
Carrie?
so. But she
It's
like she was a meat eater, and like I remember like we hadn't seen each other for a while, and all of a sudden she's like, I'm vegan, and I was like, I was vegetarian forever, and you guys were like always accommodating of us, but I had no idea you had any interest. And she was like, well, it wasn't about the animals for me. It's about the
yeah.
people, right? So
Hmm.
like, and then she like found out about the environmental impact of these like pig farms or whatever, where they like throw out carcasses. They just like throw them out,
Hmm.
and there's like mounds of carcasses just like
Yeah.
seeping into the waterways. And so those are the things that motivated her, and just like, you know, people going into groups with their dog having XYZ condition and finding that there's a big consensus around diet, so they switch, but they don't really know the
Hmm.
horrors. And so the more those people share, right? They were shocked, so they went home and they were like, "Dude, that's so gross."
Yeah.
You know, because really that's what everybody took away from it. It's like
Yeah.
nobody should be eating like weeks old carcasses.
So, yeah, just like a quick tangent because I really thought we had had this conversation because I used to be vegetarian for like many, like over a decade. And I also thought that I would like I was doing it for the animals. That's
Hmm.
what I believed. But the more I started to research it, I'm in my opinion, we're actually doing more harm than good by becoming vegan or vegetarian. We actually will do better if we just switch to regeneratively farmed crops and
Well,
meats
a lot of people
for
don't
the
want to take a
environment, for the
life
animals.
for
Yeah, yeah.
some people do it for the environment. So those people, yes, like in your case,
Hmm.
yes. When I was vegetarian and then vegan, it was I didn't want to hurt an animal. I just didn't like I didn't feel that that animal should die for me to have a burger. Like that was, and now
Right.
I still genuinely believe that, but I also have it's like not that black and white for me anymore.
It
Especially now
isn't.
I'm insulin resistant, so it's very difficult for
Oh,
me to
yeah.
not eat meat
Well, the thing
and be
is that,
healthy.
yeah, that like, so yes, I absolutely agree with you because I have a really hard time processing my feelings around an animal having to die. However, if we're not eating locally farmed, regeneratively farmed agriculture, then we are still buying into monocropping. We're still buying into soil depletion. We're still buying into killing literally like you're killing thousands of animals. They just happen to be in the soil
A different animal.
versus killing a cow or a pig. You're
Right, right, right,
killing
right, right.
thousands of
Yeah.
worms and beetles and all kinds of different bugs and like any and everything that would live in the soil. And so like it I think I think if you don't stop, if you stop researching at that point, it should be a cycle. It should be a cycle. Like if you just stop researching and you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm not eating meat anymore, like you're actually doing more harm to the planet and the environment and animals in general. Just because it's not one that has a beautiful face sitting on your plate.
Well,
Like,
for me, it was mammals. Like after I became a
yeah,
mom, it was very
yeah.
hard for me to imagine that this mother who is literally breastfeeding her baby, in cows specifically, like the baby just gets taken from her. And if it's a boy, it becomes veal. And if it's a girl, it becomes, another factory farm
Mhm.
worker. And so, as for me, it was like mammals were my thing. And then pork, just because I found out how disgusting a lot of the pork production is, it just kind of went from there and there and there. But like, regardless of why we choose to not eat meat or eat meat, we often stop at ourselves because we know,
Yeah.
especially responsible pet parents know that our pets should not be vegan or vegetarian. I mean, there
Hmm.
was, yes, one of the longest living dogs was vegetarian, but that dog was on a farm where he was getting like fresh eggs and fresh goat's milk and all these things and like fresh vegetables that they grew there. I think he was Australian, that dog. And so that's like a very unique situation. It wasn't like a vegetarian kibble.
Yeah.
That's not at
Yeah.
all
And that
what a
dog lived
dog should be eating.
outside,
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
soil was healthy, and
Exactly.
like
Like
there were
totally
so many,
apples and oranges for sure. So like
absolutely.
most responsible pet owners know that like having a vegetarian pet is not really a great option, especially if they're really educated in nutrition, right? Like they know. Like
Hmm.
if they don't know anything about nutrition and they are happy eating lentils themselves every single day of the week and then they're going to feed their dogs lentils all the time, like we can't that's not our pet parent. Like that's not our
Yeah,
client or that's not our
true.
pet parent avatar, right? Like we
Right.
speak to pet parents who are a little more discerning for themselves, their families, and their pets. So those people tend to kind of like, yes, improve the pet's diet without knowing what they left behind. And like
Hmm.
those pet parents in that room, you could see them being like, thank God I like changed, right? Like, thank
Yeah,
goodness this is not my reality because like I don't feed this.
right.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we have a client avatar, and most of these people are probably of a higher socioeconomic level because they can afford to feed their pets better than they feed themselves usually. I lived in Louisiana in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have any good vegetables anywhere. Like we have to drive to Lafayette or um, Beaumont, Texas, or something like that to get anything at a farmer's
Hmm.
market because ours was awful. We had Walmart, that was our grocery store and our department
Yeah.
store in my city. So like those people right there are not going to feed their pets better than they feed themselves. They don't have access to it. But the people in Williamsburg do have options, and these people are of a higher socioeconomic level where they have not only the options but the ability to get these things and do these things. Like one of the people that we spoke to was like just graduated law school and like was joining a firm, and like
Hmm.
obviously that's a very highly educated person who is also like single, no kids, and has like this dog, maybe one, I think it was one dog, where like they can spoil that dog. And maybe it was a small dog, so then it's not as expensive to spoil that dog as like it would be like an 80-pound dog, right? So everybody has different socioeconomic levels and abilities, and the location really impacts you. But every little step we take, and I think that that's really what I took away from the whole summit, is like there are ways to make little impacts, even if it's not available to you, even if it's not every day, even so, like education being so important because then when you're educated, you know what you can and cannot do, or like where you can focus your attention. Because as a pet parent who just sits at home and listens to us and listens to Kara and listens to, Dr. Katie Kangas or Dr. Katie Woodley or whatever, like they're just following people. They're like overwhelmed by like, where do I even start? And having the opportunity to be in the same room with people, ask questions, that's like a great way for people to start kind of honing in on what they can do, as opposed to feeling like I'm just really failing my pet right now, which I
Yeah,
think a lot of people feel when they start going down the rabbit hole.
sure. Well, and I mean, I think that's true of anything. You start to unlearn and relearn
Yeah,
anything in
you
life.
know better, do better, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's called The More You Know. So I loved Susan Thixton's conversation about that stuff and like how important it is to understand the problems that she addresses with the FDA, right? So like she basically broke it down, like what it is that she goes to them with and what it is that she takes issue with. And then Dr. Katie Kangas talked about, what did she talk about?
Integrative medicine.
When to go to the vet, like when you need like Western medicine versus when you
Mhm.
can do integrative medicine. And I think again, she went pretty deep. Like it was like you and I have done this on a very like new pet parent level.
Mhm.
She took it way further, which was good for that audience.
Mhm.
Because I learned stuff that I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I remember taking a lot of screenshots and things that she like shared about specific ingredients and how those ingredients or those like herbs or whatever can help in certain situations before you need to go to like allopathic medicine. And she was not at all, because she's a veterinarian, against Western medicine. It was just a matter of like, this is what you're going to get at the vet, and that's probably not the best thing to start
Mhm.
with. So
Yeah.
let's try this. And she talked about allergies. She talked about kidney health. She talked about a lot of different, very common conditions, which I thought was really good.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's probably, to your point just a minute ago, one of the most important topics of the whole day for pet parents to take away from the summit, or to take away from anything they're learning, um, anything they're searching for online, because it is very, like, it can be very polarizing, and you can, when you start learning that there's a different way, you can kind of overcorrect, and say, oh, I don't want any pharmaceuticals, I don't want any veterinarian intervention, and that's an overcorrection, in my opinion, an overcorrection.
Agree. No,
um
in I feel like most people would agree with you that like
yeah.
there's a time and a place for everything. And yeah, going
Yeah.
completely no Western medicine is something that people do because they become scared of the
Yeah.
Western medicine. But like she was very good about making it so it's not scary. It's just maybe not the best option.
Yeah, it's again, to me, it always comes back to informed consent. So we can make the best decisions for our pets when we actually know all of the options that we have available to us and the risk versus reward for all of them.
Hmm.
And that's something that we don't get most of the time. It,
I feel like we don't even get it just because even our vets aren't that educated in the other options. So like it's not like it's being
yeah.
withheld from us. It's just like
Well, the
here's this
options
information, but
The
that's all I'm
options,
giving you.
yes. Yeah, the options, yes, but also they're like, when was the last time they told you what the side effects were of a medication before they dispensed it to your animal?
See, I ask,
Yes, because
but
you're,
but I
yeah.
feel like that's also like on the consumer, right? Like you do not take any medication for your pet, your child. This is like
Mhm.
a PSA.
Mhm.
You do not take, ingest, or give to your pet or your child or your sick parent or whomever it is any medication without first asking about the side effects. Yes, for humans, they're required to give you the pamphlet when you fill it at the pharmacy. They give you the whole thing. Most people just move and trash it. No, read it.
Hmm.
For pets,
But you don't
they're
even
not
get
going to
it.
give you that. You don't get anything. You get
Right.
zero. So that's
Right.
where you as a pet parent have to say, what side effects can this cause? Not only because you want to informed consent, but because if you do choose to give it, let's say that it's the only thing, like my dog is now on Proin because she's leaking. I'm cool with Proin. I can't have her pissing all over my house. Excuse the expression. I know that's very vulgar, but like that is the reality. Like I can't have her doing that, so she's on Proin now. I'm gonna give it to her, but I want to know what side effects to look for.
Yeah.
Because just because Proin works really well to harden the walls of the bladder and prevent incontinence or control incontinence doesn't mean that she is going to take well to it. Like if it's causing another issue, I want to know what the issue is and I want to be able to call it and be like, that's the new medication. So you do not take yourself, your kids, your pets, any medication without knowing what to look for. And side effects are usually a sign that it's not compatible with you. Like, you know, they say like, oh, there's 1 in a million users may experience. So like, if you're that 1 in a million, find something else. Like you should not continue to take this. And I love when like pharmaceutical companies on the ads, they're like, don't take this medication if you're allergic to it. Like,
No,
obviously,
no
but like I
kidding.
wouldn't know before taking it if I'm allergic to it. But how do you know if you're allergic to it? Anaphylaxis is not your only sign of allergy. There are a
Right.
lot of other signs. So as an informed consumer, you need to ask the question. And as a pet parent, you do not give medication without asking. Like my dog Socks was she's the biggest dog I've ever had. She was the most sensitive to any medication. So I would tell the vet that before even accepting medication, before they dosed. I would say
Hmm.
she is super sensitive, and I would tell them examples. We gave her like some kind of like a sedative for a road trip one day, and she was like walking into walls for 2 days. And we gave her like half the dose. She metabolized things differently. Antibiotics ruined her stomach. So we had to support her stomach, even though she needed an antibiotic. Yes, she had E. coli. She needed the antibiotic, but it needed to be the right antibiotic, the right dosage, and we needed to support it. So, like, those conversations with your vet, like, it happens with so much. Like, one of my loved ones who I will not throw under the bus has been having some health issues. And I asked, did you tell the doctor you're on XYZ? And they say, oh no, I forgot. You can't forget.
Oh
You've got
man.
to be an informed and consumer and advocate for yourself by simply just giving the doctor the information that they need to have. Like you need to remember what other pet, like if your pet has an allergy or reaction to something, write it down, put it in your notes in your iPhone, put it somewhere. There's AI note takers now. Like write it down so the next time you're at the vet, you pull it up and you're like, oh yeah, they can't take that. They had a reaction. Like my nephew is allergic to amoxicillin. Like when he goes to the doctor and he needs antibiotics, the first thing we're gonna say is he can't have amoxicillin. But like if nobody says that, the doctor's going to probably
Yeah.
prescribe amoxicillin. So again, like a long-winded reminder that that's your responsibility to ask your vet because you are not gonna get it because vets, as we've discussed a million times, are rushing because there's a vet shortage. They need to get to the next patient. They're trying their best to see everybody and they may not give you that information even though they probably should because it, first do no harm, right? But like let's just assume that it's a team effort. You need to ask too,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I I think for me, like, if I were to try to put myself in the shoes of just the average person owning a pet, trying to get through, trying to do the best I can, I think Dr. Katie Kangas's talk would be like at the top of my list for things people need to know to get
Mhm.
started. So that's why I appreciated it
Yeah.
and I always love talking to her.
She's
Always
so
love talking to
cute.
her.
She's so funny. She's a really
She's so
great presenter.
tiny.
She's very like natural. She's
Yeah.
not, she just very herself. We went out to a brewery after and I enjoyed talking to her because she's like a really positive person. Kind of zero drama. She gave me the vibes of like, she doesn't
Yeah.
want drama. Like she's
No.
like,
She's like, everything's fine.
She's too big for the drama. Like she's too
Yeah.
herself and living her best life, and she's good. And I thought she was really cool to get to know. Very
Mhm.
approachable.
Mhm.
And then I loved Rita Hogan's talk. I've met Rita multiple times at like Super Zoo. I thought she was a super nice person always, but
Mhm.
like we've never spoken at length. It was just
Mhm.
mostly like chit chatting at the Two Crazy Cat Ladies party or like when we went to dinner together in Vegas and stuff. Um, but she killed it. Like she killed her
Oh yeah.
presentation. She made me laugh so much. She had a lot of like tongue-in-cheek humor and her presentation was great. Like if you go to my stories, actually covered in pet hair on Instagram, I did create a highlight from the More You Know Pet Summit. And I did take some screenshots, and I'll probably, and I probably will refer back to them. But there was a lot of just like really cool basic info. And if you don't have her book, like I don't have it yet, I'm gonna get it. I wanted it signed, so I'm gonna get it at in Vegas at Super Zoo. But um, it's just so cool what you can do with herbs and how much respect for and knowledge of she has of like plant medicine. And when you hear somebody that knowledgeable speak, you see how powerful these things are
Mhm.
and how underutilized they are. And she talked not only about pets, but also like just medicinal, like the kidneys function the same in dogs as they do in humans. So, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you have kidneys, this would be good for you. If you have a liver, this would be good for you because there's so many overlaps. Because, again, we're all mammals, right? And we all have a lot of the same organs and a lot of the same exposure to toxins, whether it be medications, environmental, or just like in our foods or whatever. So I loved that she made so many really poignant jokes and shared so much like take it to the bank kind of like advice, like just
She
nitty
did.
gritty. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a constant refer to my book, right?
Oh God,
It
no.
was no, she gave so much value
Yeah, yeah.
in her speech.
That just reminded me of Susan Thixton going back when she was like, I can't tell you what brand this is.
Oh my gosh. She was
She
hilarious.
was so funny. So she's telling us a story about like a brand, like a big conglomerate that makes pet food. So one of the Nestle's, Mars, like the big ones. And I won't say who it is either, because like you have to go to these things to get the nitty, like to get the goss, right? But she was like, I can't tell you who it is. And then she gets like a basket of candy from this brand and starts throwing it to the audience. She's like, I won't tell you. The secret's safe with me, but you know. And she's just like
She,
obviously telling us
she's
who it
such a
is without telling
queen.
us who it is. That cracked me up, and I
Yes,
died. I was like, she is iconic. Susan Dixon
she
is an
is.
icon already, like in
She
the
is.
industry, in the natural pet space. Like she's been an icon forever,
Yeah.
and she's such like a sassy, awesome lady that I was like, I've always fanned for her. Like I was fangirling when I saw her there, but like that just like solidified that she is just such an icon.
She is. She really, really is. And so Wild Heart Pet Wellness is saying, does the US not have vet telehealth consults for clients who don't have access to holistic clinics? We actually do.
We do.
They
The
finally
problem is
yeah.
the
Well,
problem is the money for a lot of
well,
people in the US.
well, yes, but also there just aren't that many of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically speaking, most people in the US, like in the whole of the US, right? Like forget big city versus small, like suburb or rural area. Most people aren't even taking the pet to the vet once a year, not even 5 times a year. So like
Yeah.
it's a very small percentage of the US pet parent that's going to invest in a telehealth. And even then if they do, it's like where do you even start? Who do you go to?
Mhm.
Like the the lot of these people who used to take consults are now kind of like reaching out to like the general population because they reach more people and they don't do consults
Mhm.
anymore. And it's just I think it's a scary place too to be a holistic vet. Like it's not
Well,
something you put out there all the time.
so, well, and but to your point about financial aspect of it, the reality of telehealth for pets and humans is very different. So there are certainly going to be things that as a human you're not going to be able to get telehealth medicine for, because you're going to need lab work, you're going to need things that you need to go in for. The reality of any sort of telemedicine with pets is that because they can't tell you how they're feeling, they can't tell you what their symptoms are, you're always going to have, you can have a consult with a holistic or integrative veterinarian, but you're always also going to need another veterinarian to actually physically put their hands on your animal, to palpate things, to
Mhm.
see what the range of motion is in their limbs, to look in their eyes and their ears and in their mouth, and then, do the
Yeah.
blood draws, do the diagnostics, do the
Yeah.
x-rays that
I
are
mean,
needed.
I don't
Like,
have any doctors that'll see my kids over telehealth. No doctor will see
yeah,
my kids over telehealth. Only for an acute thing,
as
like there's an ear infection, and I literally have to show images of the ear in order for them to just refer me to the doctor. So
is
I
that
don't.
because they're under 18?
I think it's just because of liability. I think
Okay.
for the humans, it's malpractice. Like if I diagnose
Yeah.
you some way, telehealth is not meant to be for humans either, like diagnostic. It's like a follow up over telehealth is fine, but
Yeah.
like your first consult with an endocrinologist is going to be in the office and they're going to
Oh, for
pull,
sure.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I don't see it that different just because again, it's everybody's covering their ass, but like you said, telehealth is great as a follow up, but
Mm-hmm.
also if you're paying now the telehealth vet and your regular vet
Mm-hmm.
when you can't even afford to spay and neuter, which is literally where we are in the United States right now, then it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna, like we're
Okay.
asking, it's like asking a pet parent more than they're already doing, which is
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously that's not true of every pet parent, but it probably is for a good percentage.
Remember we did a show on how often pet parents are
Yeah.
taking their pets to
Yeah.
the vet, and it was abysmal.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was abysmal as a general rule in the U.S. because this question's about the U.S. as a whole, so
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
good.
It's not.
But yes, you see that more in like big cities where the incomes are higher. Like Chicago has amazing, and the only reason I know is because I have a client in Chicago, who she has 17-year-old dogs, who are spry and happy, but they've been a holistic vet their whole life. They eat the best foods. My client, she owns Floofens and Company, and she is like herself so healthy. She's the kind of person that got rid of all of her spandex stuff because of like chemical exposure and all that. Like she is the real deal. So like she has access to everything in Chicago. I have another friend, actually Green Line Pet Supply, Jennifer. They go to the same vet in Chicago. Like they're talking about how amazing their holistic, veterinarians and specialists and all that. Even in DC, we had great specialists, but the holistic part of it was not really there
Hmm.
because in DC people tended to be more medical.
Yeah.
They wanted the doctor. They wanted
They
the
want. Hmm.
vaccine against everything. They
Hmm.
wanted the specialist with the chemotherapy. They didn't want to try herbs,
Hmm.
So like it's very, the United States is so big, it's so different in different markets, and
Hmm.
everybody's so different. In El Paso, we like are terrible pet parents. Like not myself, but like as a general rule, where I live, the education is lacking, the resources are lacking, and we don't even have enough regular vets. We have zero holistic vets because a holistic vet not would not make it here. Like I don't think anybody would pay to see one.
That's crazy. That's
I
crazy
know
to me.
it
But yeah,
sucks.
no, there's
We don't even
definitely.
have like real. We like. Let's talk about real quick about the Nautical Dog. How
Yeah.
awesome their like products are. Like nobody would
Didn't
buy
you
that
love her
here.
store?
I didn't go, but
That's
I never
right,
we
because
never
you
went.
were you were
Cause
sick that night.
yeah,
Yeah.
but she put out like she had vendors of stuff that she sells, and like
Yeah.
our friend Lauren of Girls Gone Raw.
Yeah. Girls Gone Raw.
I was wearing her t-shirt while I was in Baltimore. But Girls Gone Raw like sells literal like body parts that are freeze dried or dehydrated or whatever it is that she does with them. And like here in El Paso, nobody would buy that. Like people would think you were crazy, you know, because it's like a totally different, like here people, like the human beings live off of like beans and rice every day, tortillas and beans and rice, like carbs all the time, right? That's just like the food we eat. So Millie's Raw Life bought the t-shirt too. Yes, it's so cute. We loved her t-shirt. Hi, Millie's Raw Life.
I'm like living in it lately.
I know,
love
it's
it
so
so
cute. It's
much.
like a little crop top with like a wolf looking thing. It's so cute. Very rock and roll. But yeah, like I saw so much stuff, and I did come. They had, what's really cool is, yes, they had like the store was open, so Nautical Dog was open, and this was like a block and a half away from the actual store, the event. But she created like a little shop in the back where Jessica would put out her table, and Real Mushrooms was there.
Uh-huh.
Then it was Dr. Katie Kangas. Then it was Green Juju. Then it was Lauren and Girls Gone Raw. And then who was on the right there?
There was some, so Flo didn't make it, but they still put out the Crude Carnivore.
Crude Carnivore.
The books she has, and then
Rita was selling her book.
Rita
or
was
no,
there.
just signing it, because everybody who attended got a book.
Yeah.
Thanks to the
Innovative
Pet
Pet Lab, who was also there.
Yes, Innovative Pet Lab was right next to us. They sponsored a book for every attendee, so that was amazing because everybody got to. You guys should have seen the swag bag.
Yeah,
I was so jealous.
I know.
We
didn't get one.
We didn't get one, but I was so jealous because I was not an attendee. I mean, I went with Jessica. Jessica was a paid sponsor, so she was there, and I was just tagging along to help her, and just hand out bookmarks. Did you get your bookmark? Did you get your bookmark?
You did. You were so amazing.
And we did not get the swag bag, but when I tell you that swag bag was amazing, there were body parts from Girls Gone Raw. There was the book was in there. There was
treats, like whole size, whole size tinctures from Dr. Katie Kangas.
Yes, that's right.
I think Goodness Gracious had a full size treat bag in there. There was so much.
There was so much stuff. Like it took us 2 hours to fill those in. Like we like volunteered to like help fill them. Yeah. And it took us 2 hours, and then we got worried that they were gonna like bottom out because they were so heavy with so many goodies in there. So that was a really big treat. And how much was it to get in? I think it was like 150, 125, something like that.
Like one. I think it was like maybe 125, and then. If you were able to get like a VIP ticket, that was a little extra. If you decided to go to the coffee talk the next morning, that was a little extra. And then, let me see if I can find my.
So yeah, the 125 give or take that it was 100% reimbursed in that bag.
It was. More. I think it was more than. And then
absolutely.
So Amanda did her magazine again, which is so cute. So if you're watching, you can see the magazine, but it's one of the most beautiful magazines I've seen. It's
gorgeous. And our friend Jessica here has 2 articles in that magazine, right?
I do. I did an article on.
Show us your pic. It's so cute.
Oh my goodness. I have an article on Not Everything is Yeast.
And we're actually, who was it that talked about yeast so much?
Dr. Conor Brady.
Dr. Conor Brady talked about yeast.
He's like, everything's yeast, and I'm like, no, it's not, Conor. But no, he was like, he really, if you really broke it down, he was like, all my hardest clients that I just can't figure out wind up being yeast. That's really what he.
Well, and then it's the connection of the poo and the bacteria and the yeast. That's really what it was about. It was like when our dog's bacteria is all, like our pets or our own bacteria biome is out of whack, then that's when we start getting these issues with yeast that, you know, it's like we're treating one thing and then the other thing gets exacerbated and it's just like this big mess. And so that's what he was kind of digging into. Show me your picture.
Oh, well, I was going to show you the second one. My picture is just
look how cute.
Oh my gosh,
she's like half as a person who works for magazines, that's a half page layout.
That's huge.
Picture, just
And
Yep.
then I did a step-by-step guide to transitioning your cat from kibble to a species-appropriate diet. Which I was really, really excited to put that one in because I feel like our kitties need those
Yeah,
ads.
and that's the one that people get turned off by the most because there's so much information about dogs and transitioning, so this is like such a welcome thing. Do you have this online that other people can read?
Yeah, actually, there are blogs on my website. So you can go to jessicalfisher.com and they're there also. And look at Lauren. Look how cute Lauren is.
Lauren's the cutest. I only met Lauren, Girls Gone Raw, at this event. Like that was the first time I had ever met her. Um,
Oh,
and she is just so much fun, and she's so sweet. And Kara, we missed you. Raw Paw Adventures says she's listening as I
yes.
pack my bags. Is this like the pack to move
Mm-hmm.
packing?
Yep. Yep.
Good luck with that, Kara. She's moving states, so she's in the middle of a big life change. But we're gonna see her at Super Zoo, God willing.
Connor got a huge one too. A
Look at
huge.
that, Connor Brady. Okay, so that takes us. We've talked about everybody except for Connor Brady,
Except for
really.
Connor Brady. Yep.
So
No, we
Connor
didn't talk
Brady,
about Amy. Amy Renz.
we talked about her a little bit, but
Okay. You
hers
did. You
was
started with Amy.
yeah,
That's
hers
right.
is. I mean, I think you anything you can do to catch Amy Renz anywhere, you should because you'll learn so much from her. She talked
Hmm.
about nutrition, like I talked about. Um, I I was impressed by the depth that she went into because it was literally like we're talking macros and micros and we're talking about in-depth stuff. This was not
Yeah.
an elementary like this is why you
No.
feed species appropriate. This was about like the nutrients and what your pets need. It was really cool. It was really in depth. It's hard for us to just like even just like start talking about it because there's so much depth to it.
Oh
Wildcard
yeah.
Pet Wellness says, okay, I work in the holistic vet industry. Our clients use local vets for diagnostics, but yes, correct, it's unaffordable for probably the most of the population. Unfortunately, just veterinary care is so expensive, and it's not that our vets don't deserve it, and it's not that it's just not in line with the industry. It's just that we adopt this dog for $200 at the shelter, and then they, need $1,000 in medical stuff, and you're like, ah. So
I need Millie's raw life to like follow me around and realize how not perfect my hair is. She says Jess's hair is always perfect. Shake my head. Yeah.
she has the best hair. I tell her all the time, Millie, thank you so much, because I tell her all the time, it's not fun to be the friend who like is always like admiring her hair, pet it.
My dogs are barking like crazy.
They're like, she has the best hair. She has the best hair, but not as good as me. That's Kim. Kim's like, she wishes she had my hair, but it's really good. And do either of us have plans on writing a book? If we wrote a book, it would not be about pets. It would be
No,
about
it would be about that's
it would be about men and
hilarious.
dating. And it would not.
That's
It would
hilarious.
not. It would not. It would. Yeah. No. I don't think we should do that.
I don't think so.
No.
I
We
think
just talked about we have a lot of funny discussions about dating and stuff now that Jess is single, and I think if we wrote a book, it would be pretty entertaining. Well,
I'm
single.
sorry. Stop. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Let's. But speaking of men, Connor Brady.
Connor Brady. So,
Okay, mute yourself
sorry.
and I'll start. Mute yourself
Okay.
and I'll start. Okay, so yeah, you're muted. Okay. So anyway, so Connor Brady talked again like a lot about yeast and probiotics and bacteria and that balance in the gut and all that good stuff. Poop constantly, like just like poop this and poop that and poop this and poop that. It was kind of hilarious. He's Irish for those that are not aware, and just like a super cool guy. Lots of energy in his presentation, lots of poop in his presentation. And I think that most of the audience was women. So just like this handsome guy, tall, handsome guy with an Irish accent. I don't think many of the people took anything other than like, yeah. Everyone's like,
Oh my goodness. I will say Connor cracked me up. Like,
he's funny.
if I didn't already like him as a person, just the jokes he made during his speech, I was like, hell yes.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's very accessible too. Like I thought he was
yeah.
very accessible. He makes it very like elementary. And no judge. None. The great thing about all the speakers who were there is that there was no judgment on what other people do. There was no like these people don't know and like oh my god they're doing a terrible job. It's never that. It's always like them being really honest about how they used to feed their pets, how they used to care for their pets, and how that evolved and why. And like he was very accessible too. Bye. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Wild Heart Pet Wellness, thank you so much. But yeah, I was really impressed with how accessible it was. He is not a veterinarian, which because he is Dr. Conor Brady, I thought he was, and it was at the brewery that we were talking about something, and he said something, and I was like, wait, you're not a vet? And he has a doctorate in animal behavior.
Mm-hmm. Behavior.
Yes,
Yeah.
but he's not a veterinarian, but he does do a lot of health. I guess, does he still work in
There's so much
behavior at all?
there's so much overlap.
Yeah.
So at this point, he researches research. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he does. He looks at and aggregates research and brings it into his practice with people, which is, I mean, he does some coaching. I don't know that he does a ton of coaching anymore, but
Like
he
pet
has a
health
supplement.
coach.
Yeah, and he has a supplement line, and so he's used everything he's learned through that research to create this all natural supplement line, and then bringing education to pet parents through Raw Pet Medics, with uh, oh my gosh, I can't think of the other brand. I can't think of the other two's names at the moment, but Raw Pet Medics. And yeah, so I mean that's he researches research is kind of
Yeah.
what he does.
And he mentioned that he was on the equivalent of Shark Tank in Ireland. So we got to look that up because
Yes.
that must be really
Yes.
fun. He said that it's on the internet if we want to find it. So I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I
But
don't
he's
either.
trying to get like funding for these supplement lines. And then before we forget, speaking of men, Billy from Green Juju was the MC. And I thought he did a really great job. Again, really accessible, really welcoming. Nothing like he didn't like put on airs and be like, welcome to this super important fancy place that we're all like, scholars on pet
Could you imagine
wellness.
Billy doing that
But
in the
like
first
sometimes,
place?
you feel a lot of
Yeah.
people don't go to this type of event
Uh-huh.
because they feel like it's too in depth
Stuffy.
or it's too like these like like self-righteous raw feeders are gonna be like
Oh, I
judging
see.
me, you know what I mean? And I felt even me because like I'm aware of a lot of these things but I don't practice them, and I do like know a lot from being a mom about holistic options and stuff, and we all apply what we can in our lives and in our families, but I went in being like, okay, like I'm just gonna lay low, right? Like this is Jessica's show. I'm just here for the ride. But it didn't feel at all stuffy. Like it didn't feel at all um
We were
self-righteous.
we were just all there having a good time talking. Like that's how
Yeah,
it feels to me.
it was very chill, very low key, very informative, very welcoming. My client, Kame, who owns Hearts at Home Pet Sitting they serve Yorktown and Poquoson mostly. She drove over, because it's like a 30-minute drive, to the event. And she came in, but she was like running late in the morning, so she missed Amy's presentation, I think. Oh, she missed both Susan and Amy's presentation, but she stayed for all the afternoon. And she was gonna only come in and like stay for one, and she ended up staying the whole day and buying all sorts of stuff. And she's the perfect person she's in the industry, but she has a very full life. She has a grandchild, her daughters, and her husband travels a lot, and she runs this huge business, and she's constantly like trying to grow herself professionally and personally and all that. So she may not be feeding like homemade food for her pets, but she knew that she could improve little by little. So she kind of went around and she bought some green juju the food so that she could use as toppers. She bought some of the tinctures from Dr. Katie Kangas. She definitely bought some gross stuff from Girls Gone Raw. as did I. And you know, she was like, I don't know if my pets will eat this, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And so that was the best thing for me, is how it was it was not like an expert level thing.
Yeah.
It was accessible to everybody, but those people who really do have experience still took a lot away. The people who really are like, you know, formulators like you or whatever are like there's still information. I mean, you
Yeah.
design feeding
Yeah.
plans, right? So like,
I do. I do. I just don't call myself a formulator because I feel like that I can, yeah. Yeah.
you could formulate if you had to.
Yeah. Well, and I think formulating for an individual animal versus formulating for
Yeah, for the
a
masses.
population
Yeah.
is very different
Yeah.
also. Not that I don't think I could get there
Yeah.
and do that, but like it is a different thing, and I just want to acknowledge
Yeah.
that.
Well, anyway, somebody who formulates diets for pets or a pet
Yeah.
nutritionist, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But like, I think that somebody at your level could take stuff away still.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was exactly what we needed. It was a whole day. Before we wrap up, tell us about the coffee shop, the coffee talk, because I left at super early on
Yeah.
Sunday morning to go to a concert in DC.
You
But I
did.
left you there, and I
Yeah.
assume you checked out.
I did.
Did you check out
I
of our room? I
did.
never asked. But
I did.
tell us about the coffee talk.
Yeah, so the coffee talk was interesting because it was Billy Hookman and Kelly Marion from Green Juju, and it really just turned into a talk about their probiotics, which was very interesting because their probiotics are completely different from anything on the market for pets or humans. And like this is a totally new product. Even though it's a probiotic, it's a totally new type of probiotic. And nobody else has done anything like this. And so the reality is that it turned into a lot of Conor and Billy going back and forth, and Conor asking a lot of questions. And so like everybody was listening in on this conversation that was mostly between Conor and Billy about the probiotics. So it was really interesting because, talking about the aerobic bacteria versus anaerobic bacteria, and, you know, we learned more about how Green Juju's new probiotic line, like the research that they are putting behind this product because they believe in it so much, and what they're already seeing in some of the research. And it's very, very interesting, and honestly, why I have been so excited about this probiotic line, because I mean, as I told Billy, I'm probably going to take it myself.
I was just going to
And
ask you that. I was literally going to
yeah,
ask you that. Can we use it
yeah, we can. So,
at our
um,
own risk, of
at
course?
our own risk. So Green Juju will never, ever, ever tell you that you can use any of their products on humans, because that is not what they are designed for. However, I did have Billy on the podcast to talk about the probiotics, and that was like the last thing we talked about. And he was like, out of any of our products, these would be the ones that I would say are probably the safest. And
The Chicken
like,
Empire wants to know if we ever look at the live chat. Yes, we're looking at the live chat right now.
no, I don't.
Hello to you.
I do not. Oh, here we go. Yeah. I was not. I was on private chat for some reason. Sorry about that. Chicken
But I mean,
Empire.
there's nothing coming in, so
Yeah.
that's the only thing we've gotten. And then we are looking at, that's why we're talking to
Instagram.
people on Instagram.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really excited for them because there's nothing else like them on the market. And so just to hear, um, just to hear, the questions that Conor had and Billy giving the answers to it, I think was like kind of a master class in how people on their level think, people who are creating supplements, and why, and what they're looking for, and why. It was kind of like it was very, very interesting. I mean,
And
of
that's the
course,
beauty of these get-togethers. I think
yes,
that's where the magic happens. Like
it
where
is.
you're like a fly on the wall for in
Yes,
these conversations. That happens to
yes,
me a lot when I'm like tagging along with you at Super Zoo, because I my focus is digital marketing, not
yeah,
pet health. And I just kind of listen and I listen and I listen and I like discover products and I'm like, and I actually end up using those a lot because my clients might ask like, oh, like what we just collaborated on, you and I, last week, like natural flea and tick prevention. And like I'll discover how these things work just listening to these conversations with Jess or like other people in the pet space, in the healthy pet space. And Super Zoo's coming up, it's in 2 weeks, and like they have a huge healthy pet space area. You know, we walk around and say hi to people we know, but also like we're just, a lot of people launch products there, so like there's a lot of like conversations about that, and I just listen and I discover so much. I'm listening to you just ask the questions, you know, just discovering like in individual ingredients that,
Yeah.
you know, you maybe like last year I discovered ahi flower as like an omega-3, and that was not in the healthy pet space, that was like outside. And then so since then I've been looking at, you know, kind of products for humans and stuff that are ahi flower. I just got some omega-3s that had ahi flower in them. My mom's like, what is that? I'm like, it's a flower, and you know, it's like a botanical or whatever. And she was like, oh, and I learned that at Super Zoo, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really cool. That's when the magic happens, when you start like hearing people who know what questions to ask, because that's what most pet parents don't know.
Yeah.
It's what questions to ask.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that it is very interesting. And then of course there was no discussion really because Billy was like, has anyone like who here has heard of C15? And I mean of course, you know, a handful of us had, but like it's these things that are like just starting to be researched, just starting to come out on the market, just start like we're just starting to see the benefits of. Um so it really does get you in a place where you're like, just like you said, like it's like you're a fly on the wall in a mastermind, right? Like, and it's just so cool.
And
It's
it
really
lets
really
you
cool.
it lets you discover stuff that you can maybe add to your daily routine. For example, my friend here, Jessica, bought me tremella from real mushrooms, and now I drink it in my coffee.
Yeah.
And it is like the Botox of mushrooms.
Yes.
And
I
the
haven't
next time you
started
see
mine.
me, I'm gonna look 10 years younger just because I've been taking that. So yeah, it's like you discover these things that like I didn't know there was a Botox of mushrooms. I know you've said it before in other lives, so like I know that, but it was one of
Yeah.
those things that like at the time I didn't.
Yeah.
And what better than your friend to just purchase one for you and hand it to you as a gift? So like obviously it got my attention more so than in the past. But that's like so cool that we went to this. We had an awesome weekend, girls' week. We did all these like self-help things and like self-care things together, and then you know I ended up leaving with like this mushroom that's gonna give me life.
Yeah, I haven't started taking mine yet, so
I
you're way
have.
ahead of me.
I have. I had it with a lavender tea the other day. It's a little powdery, so I think that it's better. Yeah, I was like a lavender tea at night, and it's a little powdery, but it almost,
Yeah.
like if you put it in like an English breakfast, it might almost give it the vibe of like milk or like creamer in it
Yeah.
because it's like a little
Well,
bit
it
creamy.
it will thicken any
Yes,
like if you're
it
making a
thickens.
dressing or a soup
Yes.
or whatever, like it is like a
Did I get a
thickener.
real Botox? The Chicken
Yeah.
Empire is asking a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
this live is about um, a recap of an event, but we're about to wrap up. But you're welcome to watch the replay as soon as we end the stream. This event was about um, pet health, and it took place 2 weeks ago. So thank you for joining us, the Chicken Empire, and whether or not I get real Botox is for you to decide. My
Oh
face is
my
moving.
gracious.
Okay, so
It
that's it. I think that was a really good recap. I think
yeah.
if there's any takeaways, is go follow all the people we talked about. That's like
Mhm.
the biggest thing. And if you want us to tag them, just let us know and we'll tag them all in comments so you can go follow them from there if that's easier. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. And we will see you from Super Zoo
In 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. Are we
Yes.
doing this on Tuesday then? And then, or is the Thursday gonna be this?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, I think we'll have time Tuesday if we want to do like a pregame.
We can do this one here, and then, or we can do Covered in Pet Hair Thursday. I can
Okay.
do that one, like instead of my show. I don't know. I was gonna do a live podcast from there, and I
Okay.
asked a couple people, but they haven't confirmed. So if not, we'll just have you be the guest.
Okay. We can do that. Sounds good to me.
So whatever you guys want to know about Super Zoo, let us know. We've covered Super Zoo in the past. There is a live from Super Zoo in this feed, in the Pet Parenting Reset, and in Covered in Pet Hair on Facebook and YouTube. And I encourage you to kind of send us any products you want us to check out. Hi, Billy. We were just talking about you.
I can't tell you how often we talk about green juju in these lives,
Well,
period.
I mean, that's what I feed my dogs. I feed
Yeah.
my dogs a combination of green juju and kibble because that's where I live right now. That's where I am right now. That's as high as the standard gets right now. And I love green juju. And Billy, we were just saying you did a great job as MC. You made it very accessible. You were very welcoming, kind of punny, and we really enjoyed you as the MC of the More You Know Pet Wellness Summit.
I like how you said we. It was really Isabel who said all of that, but no, it's
I
okay.
feel like it was a consensus.
It was a consensus. I'm just messing with
Dang,
him.
dang, tough
Just
critics around
messing with
here.
him. I am tough.
You are a tough
I'm
critic.
very.
You are too kind.
Oh,
I
well,
am. She's
she
not.
is. She is very kind. She is very
But yeah,
kind.
it was a really good event. And those of you who are in Williamsburg or driving distance from it, like you, um, you definitely should
Check.
go next year. Like check it out.
Yeah.
What if you're? I think there were people from Northern Virginia who went. I met a number of people from Northern Virginia there. One lady owned a pet store, supply store in Manassas. There was a I feel like she was a dog trainer from Northern Virginia as well. There were people from all over that area, from Virginia and from like North Carolina, I think. So it was really well attended, and not just people locally. And honestly, just the goodie bag, just the swag bag was worth the drive.
It was. And if you're anywhere near Williamsburg at all, like ever, just stop into the Nautical Dog. It's an amazing, amazing store. Amanda's staff is so well trained. They're so knowledgeable. They sell some of the best products that you can get for your pets. So check
Yeah,
them
and
out.
actually, Amanda, bravo, because this is the
Yeah,
third time she's put this together. It was completely so well done. It was professional. It was organized. It went off without a hitch. They had
it
food
did.
and coffee and all these things, and it was just like really A plus on the planning and execution. And the speakers and all the attendees were great people. It was just a overwhelming success, I think, from an outsider looking in. And I've been to many conferences in our industry. I MC myself and I speak and stuff, and like not all conferences are created equal. She did a really good job.
No, no, they're not. Yeah, no, Amanda's amazing. She's a marketer who happens to own a pet store.
Yeah,
So she really sets the bar high
yeah, and the venue was
for
gorgeous,
us.
so that
Yeah,
doesn't hurt either.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for jumping in, Billy. That was a fun treat. And yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks live from Super Zoo.
Either Tuesday or Thursday. Stay tuned, or both.
Or
Stay
both.
tuned.
We'll see how we feel.
Yeah.
Bye.